all the time. All right. You know, as we go through our day-to-day and the things that happen, there's things that come along that remind us of things that have happened in the past. There's just little things that we see and that we do that happen on a daily basis, and it just reminds us of other times in our life. For me, if I see a Volkswagen bus, I think of flowers, big flowers, and people with bandanas around their head, bell-bottom jeans, sandals, the peace movement. Remember peace?
Oh, yeah.
The big peace movement of the 1960s? Everybody's out. You know, we just need to have peace. We just need to learn to get along. We just need to have a world peace is what everybody, and we still hear about that. We still, every time there's an election campaign, all that, it's all about world peace. We're gonna promote peace, and we're gonna find a way to make peace with all the countries. And what they don't realize is it's never happened before, and it's probably never going to happen. The first peace movement that I could find looking back in history started in the 16th century. The Protestant churches started a Reformation, and it was called, they started a bunch of new churches called the peace churches. Way back then, they were trying to initiate this peace movement, this idea of peace. It's been constant, it's been going on for all time. It's always been trying to find a way to just live peaceably with one another, and we seem to not be able to do that. And then in 1815, in New York, there was a foundation called the New York Peace Society, and it was founded by a theologian, David Low Dodge. Again, an effort to try to get people to live in peace and people not to all see eye to eye. And then in 1961, there was over 50,000 women that got together and started what do they call it? Let's see, Women's Strike for Peace. And they demonstrated in over 60 countries, or 60 cities across the country, trying to promote peace, trying to get to a place that we can kind of live peaceably. We don't all have to be of the same thought and all have the same ideas, but we can just live peaceably. Peace. Freedom from disturbance, quiet and tranquil. Wow. That's the definition of peace. That's what we're trying to find. That's what everybody's looking for, is that peace there. How do we live? Even, like I said, every campaign that we come, well, we're gonna find a way to live peaceably with our neighbors. Whatever it takes to do, we're going to have to do, we're going to do, and we're going to spend money, and we're going to put every resource we have into promoting this peace. But it's pretty hard to acquire something that when you don't really know what it is you're looking for. Most people, when they think of peace, they think of that word right there, the definition: freedom from disturbance, quiet and tranquil. Peace in our society has become something that's desired but seems yet unattainable. And we try to find ways, and we try to discover ways, and we try to make new ways to all live together in peace by the word, by definition of the word. But you know, the biblical definition of peace is a whole lot different than what it is in our language, in our human language, in our English language anyway. The root word is a Hebrew word that is shalom, which means, by definition in Hebrew, to be complete or whole or to live well. Now, it has a lot of different uses in the New Testament and in the Old Testament as they use the word shalom, but it promotes wholeness or life or body or health, harmony between people, prosperity, and victory over one's enemies or an absence of war. Now, in the Hebrew language, the word shalom was used as a greeting or a farewell word. When you meet somebody, it was shalom was the word that they would use, and what that does is try to bless the one you're greeting or the one you're departing from with a blessing of prosperity and victory. We sing the song, Victory in Jesus. Victory in your life and prosperity and health is what that is. It's a blessing to bless somebody with that word when you greet them or when they're departing. But you know, as you go back to the 60s, when people would meet, they go, peace. And I thought, well, this really was God trying to edge us back to where we bless each other when we meet each other. To when we see somebody, we greet them with a blessing, something that means something that has a definition, something that really makes them wonder, when instead of just, hey y'all, that doesn't have a whole lot of to it. It just doesn't really make me feel like you're really happy to see me and you want me to do good when you say, hey y'all. It's just kind of like a dust storm. It just kind of goes by and it's just there. But as I was studying and thinking, it's like, wow, the idea of being a Christian, the idea of wanting to display Christ in my life should drive me to the place to understand what peace is, understand where it comes from, and if I want to acquire something, I need to understand what it is I'm looking for. And to honestly think that I'm going to be able to just live in peace with everybody I ever meet, I'm beginning to understand that's probably not going to happen. Beginning to realize that not all people are always going to all get along. What was it Abraham Lincoln said? You can please some of the people all the time and all the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all the time. So how are we ever going to live in a peace that we seek by definition of the word if we don't understand what the peace is that we're trying to acquire and where to get it? See, this is the big thing. Everybody wants to have peace, they just don't really understand where to get it, where it comes from. But go to Judges chapter 6. We try to find, what do they call it, world peace. We're trying to attain world peace, and that's almost an oxymoron right there. Judges 6:22 and 24. Now when Gideon perceived that there was an angel of the Lord, Gideon said, Alas, O Lord God, for because I have seen an angel of the Lord face to face. And the Lord said unto him, Peace be unto you, fear not, thou shalt not die. Gideon. The Gideons have a list of countries where it's against the law to own the Bible. And Gideon was the one that first experienced the peace that God told him, said, Peace be unto you, don't be afraid, I got it. Gideon understood, okay, this is where peace comes from. This is how I acquire it. This is where I'm going to get it. The only place I want to find peace is in my relationship with the Lord. When I have a good, strong, fervent relationship with the Lord, I will acquire the peace because He provides the peace. It doesn't come from the world. It doesn't come from Donald Trump. It doesn't come from anybody. There's no way that we're going to acquire any kind of peace in our life until we understand where it comes from and how we get it. If you want to have peace with your neighbors and peace with them, if you want to be able to go to Walmart and have peace with everybody you meet, you're going to need to know how to say, God bless you. You're going to need to know how to say, Shalom. You're going to need to know how to say a word or display or bring forth your righteousness, because without righteousness there can be no peace. This was the teaching of the doctrine in the old days that they tried to teach, the false teachers, the false prophets tried to teach that you could acquire peace in the world, and you can't. Because the world doesn't have any peace to give. Peace is only going to come from your relationship with the Lord. And when you see somebody that's just like that, their peace is not there because their relationship is not connected to it. The relationship with the Lord has to be dead on 100% in order for us to find the peace. When we find the peace, Abraham had peace in his relationship with the Lord. When the Lord said, I want you to take Isaac and take him up on the mountain, and I want you to sacrifice him, Abraham said, okay. I have peace with my Lord. I have peace with my God, and I cannot be connected to things of this world. Even if it is my own son, I have to be connected with God first. God number one. When God is number one in my life, I will have peace in every situation. In every circumstance, no matter what God calls me to do or where He sends me to go, I will have peace if I'm connected with Him and I'm following His lead. But see, the world tries to find peace in another avenue. They try to go somewhere. Let's go to Psalms 85, verses 8 through 10. Mercy and truth are met together. Wait, let me go back up to 8. That's where I'm supposed to start. I will hear what God, the Lord, will speak, for He will speak peace unto His people and to His saints. But let them not turn again to folly. Surely His salvation is nigh them that fear Him, that glory may dwell in our land. Mercy and truth are met together. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. The psalmist says, if you're going to have, this is where the two meet. This is where it all comes together. This is where the rubber hits the road, is when your righteousness and your peace meet. Even describes it as a kiss each other. It's so precious and it's so real that it strikes even to the spirit of a person to realize that, wow, through my righteousness, through my being close to God, I discover peace. I discover how God can take care of all my situations. I discover that in every circumstance of my life, God is there. This came up at our Bible study at the home group at Gary and Mary's on Thursday night about the presence of the Lord and how the peace is available. It's right there. It's right in front of us every minute of every day. We just have to reach out and get it. In every circumstance and everything that comes our way, there's peace. In every circumstance in Paul's life, he discovered the peace. We have to look for it. We have to want it. We have to understand what it is. We have to understand that in every circumstance that God will provide the peace if we remember to look for it. I had a dream night before last. God's been teaching me about patience. And one of the things that I've learned is that God has a whole lot more patience with me than He ever asked of me to share. The patience that He has in working on me is far more than what He ever asked me to do. But in my dream the other night, I dreamed I was in a motor vehicle. That's a good place to work on peace. For whatever reason, a group of us had gone into the motor vehicle and they had helped everybody right down the line just like they're supposed to. When it comes down to me, they skip me. And they skip me again, and they skip me again, and they skip me again. And all of a sudden, I'm just completely frustrated and I woke up anxious. I woke up in my dream with anxiety. And the Lord said, why didn't you just look for me while you were there? What could you have done for me in all that time and all those people you got to meet? You're going to serve one of two masters in every circumstance, whatever you do. You're going to either serve Satan or you're going to serve Jesus. In every circumstance, you're going to have an opportunity to give God the glory or give Satan the glory. And that's when He showed me that dream. I was like, wow, that's amazing. That I was glad that it happened in a dream so that when I find myself in that circumstance, I will realize I can obtain peace simply by going to it. And not letting the circumstance take me away from my peace. I could have sat in the motor vehicle and witnessed to who knows how many people. There might have been people there that needed prayer. There might have been people there that needed things. And instead, I'm up there and I'm ringing the bells and I'm banging on the windows and I want to have my turn. It's so simple. It is so simple to obtain the peace in the circumstances. If we remember that it's there, I can pick one or the other. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So this morning I woke up and I had another dream last night. We were at the Teen Challenge banquet. And I reserved 2 tables like we normally do, 16 people. Well, something had happened after the first reservation, and there was another 25 people that were coming, so we had 3 more tables. So we get there, and they're calling on your cell phone. Okay, it's your turn to come be seated. Okay, so my phone rings. Hello, yeah, is this Mr. Callahan? Yes, it is. We have your tables ready. Good. Tables for 16. I said, well, what about the other 25? Well, no, there's not 25, there's 16. I said, no, there's 2 reservations, one for 16 and one for 25. Well, we completely overlooked the 25. And immediately, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I don't need to get overexcited here. God is teaching me things. God is showing me things. And this was in a dream, but this is as real as it can be in real life. When a circumstance comes our way, we have to realize that God is always in control. In the devotional yesterday, in Jesus Calling, it says, if you'll take time for me, I can put things in place that your day will work out just fine. If you take time out for me first, I can rearrange the events of the day. I can put things in place. The smallest detail to the biggest appointment, He can put in place for it to work out for you if you'll just count on Him first. But see, I automatically go, okay, I got to fix this. This is all up to me. Here I am all by myself because I stepped out there all by myself and I didn't take my Jesus with me. I didn't take my peace with me and say, you know what? What's really the most important? At this point, when I'm at the motor vehicle or I'm at a place where there's 25 people that have been overlooked, what's the biggest point? I have an opportunity maybe to tell somebody about Jesus. I have an opportunity to share the peace of knowing my Savior and knowing the circumstances are not why I'm where I am. He didn't put me here just to come to dinner. He put me here because there might be somebody here that I can witness to. In every circumstance, in every situation of your life, everywhere you go, and everything you do, you have a peace. And if you'll use those opportunities to witness, you'll acquire that peace. That peace will come automatic when we remember to put God first. God is the reason I'm here. God knows what He's doing. God knows that He's dragging the line back to keep me here a little longer because there's something I need to do. And if I'll just do what I need to do, and that's what I thought about this morning. I thought, now when I was at motor vehicle night before last, if I had just been aware of what God wanted me to do, I might have been called the next. But seeing as how I never did what He wanted me to do, it was never my turn. Think about it as you're out there and things are not going your way. When you're sitting in traffic. And this lane's closed, and everybody's in line over here, and the one goes wheeling to the front. I don't know why they do that. Because I need to be one car farther back. I'm in the wrong place. I'm too close. I need an opportunity to back up, so He put one in front of me. God is doing everything. And when we begin to understand that that's what's happening in our life, then I have His peace. I have the peace that the world is looking for. I have the peace in knowing that it's not how fast I get through this life. It's how I get through this life. Do I get through it in just a big rush hurry and at the end I'm frustrated? Or do I get through it one circumstance at a time and bless the Lord in every circumstance and say, wow, how amazing is that He lines things up so well. We can look back and say, wow, Jesus did all that, lined all this up, look how amazing that is. And then the very next day we're not counting on Him. The very next day, like, okay, I got to get this done. Let's go to Matthew. Jesus tells us that He did not come to this world to bring peace to this world. Matthew 10. Verses 34 through 38. Jesus says, think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace on earth, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father and daughter, and against his mother and daughter-in-law, against his mother-in-law. A man's foes shall be they of his own household. He that loveth his father or mother more than me. Hello? There it is. He that loveth his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. He that loveth his son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life for my sake, he that findeth his life shall lose it, but he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. We get so connected to the things of this world. You think about Abraham. God was more important than his son. And see, that's real hard for us. That's a real hard pill to swallow. To not be connected to anything of this world more than God. Putting God first in every circumstance, in every situation, even when it pertains to our immediate family. Our sons and our daughters and our grandkids. We've got to have God has got to be our number one. I've got to submit myself to God first. And I'll have the peace. The peace that I'm looking for will be there if I go about finding it the right way. I'm not going to find it any other way. I'm not going to find it in anything that this world has. Peace, world peace will come one person at a time. As people learn to live in their relationship with Christ, they will find the peace. I think of all the people that have been persecuted, this movie, Tortured for Christ, and the days of the Holocaust, and all those things, and some of the stories you hear about the people and their testimonies of how they just counted on Jesus through the whole thing. In a lot worse circumstances than we will ever encounter. People that live in some 50 some odd countries in this world that would be persecuted for even owning this, for even having a copy of it on their phone anywhere. Not allowed to have this